Previously on Battle 360, USS Enterprise and sister ship Hornet squared off against the firepower of 4 enemy carriers in the bloody Battle of Santa Cruz. And for Hornet, it was the end of the line. Hit by aerial explosives and torpedoes, she made a last stand and died hard. Now, USS Enterprise becomes the only battle-ready carrier left in the Pacific Fleet. USS Enterprise, a fighting city of steel. She is the most revered and decorated ship of World War II. On this 360-degree battlefield, where threats loom on the seas, in the skies, and in the ocean depths, the Enterprise's enemies could be anywhere and everywhere. There's nowhere to run when the battle's all around you. Battle 360. Enterprise versus Japan. This series is brought to you with limited commercials by the men and women of Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Friday, November 13th, 1942, 1:48 a.m. Anti-aircraft cruiser USS Atlanta patrols the dark waters off Guadalcanal Island in the South Pacific. USS Enterprise has been out of action for 2 weeks, and with all the other carriers in the Pacific down for the count, these smaller ships must face the enemy alone. Atlanta has sent her share of Japanese planes to the hunting grounds of hell, but tonight she's stalking Imperial warships, one of 13 American vessels on the prowl for an enemy force of destroyers, battleships, and cruisers. 2 massive naval groups are about to collide in a terrific clash of steel. But what the crew of Atlanta doesn't know is that they're already locked in the crosshairs of the enemy. 3,000 yards away, Japanese battleship Hiei and destroyer Akatsuki close in for an ambush. At point-blank range, they flood Atlanta with massive searchlights and open fire. Atlanta and the American ships immediately open up with every gun they have. The battle is on.
Practically before they knew it, their formation is pointed directly at the Japanese, and suddenly the forces are intermingled and firing at each other.
Muzzle to muzzle, these 20th century ships battle like 18th century pirates. But modern cannons are far more deadly. Shells streak across the water. The air is filled with explosions, the shattering sounds of slamming steel, and the cries of the wounded. The cruiser Atlanta gives her all in the violent firefight. Launched in 1941, Atlanta is 541 feet of killing power. She bristles with 16 5-inch rifles, 4 quad-mount 1.1 automatics, and 8 21-inch torpedo tubes. Right now, Atlanta has no shortage of enemy targets. Her forward 5s blow shells at 2 enemy destroyers, while her after battery aims for the searchlights on Akatsuki and cuts loose. But Atlanta is getting it back from all sides. To the left, she's hit by a storm of Japanese torpedoes that annihilate her forward engine room. And on the right, in the confusion of darkness, one of her own cruisers lobs 19 8-inch projectiles towards her deck. Dozens of sailors are killed in the salvo. Atlanta cannot escape the hellstorm. As the sun rises over the blood-stained waters, things look bad for the American fleet. Friday the 13th could be Santa Cruz all over again. Flashback 2.5 weeks. October 26th, 1942. USS Enterprise takes a pounding in the Battle of Santa Cruz. A 500-pound bomb penetrates her flight deck and cracks her hull, oozing oil and the blood of her wounded. It's a miracle that she's still afloat. 4 days later, she arrives at the American base at Noumea, New Caledonia, for repairs. Crews are working day and night to patch up Enterprise's battle wounds. This isn't just any ship. It's the only American carrier left in the Pacific. The key to beating back the Imperial menace. And it must be returned quickly to the fight.
They knew that the Navy needed her and that their country needed her. That was the only carrier left at that time. They had to get it back out to sea so they could continue on the fight and beat the Japanese.
It was after we had lost the Hornet at Santa Cruz and we were the only carrier left. And remember sailors holding those signs up on the flight deck, Enterprise versus Japan.
But right now, Enterprise is in no shape for fighting, and Japan is eager to strike. The epicenter of their hostilities is Guadalcanal in the South Pacific's Solomon Islands. Japanese and American ground troops are waging a war of attrition here, each trying to bleed the other to death. American Marines control the coveted airstrip at Henderson Field, which they seized from the enemy 3 months ago, but they're hanging on by their fingernails.
The initiative really lies with the Japanese, though, at this point. They have sunk the Hornet, they have badly damaged the Enterprise, and yet they still have the heavy surface forces necessary to bring the fight to Guadalcanal. We've got to get more troops and more supplies in there as quickly as possible.
As Enterprise undergoes repairs, Japanese Admiral Yamamoto, mastermind of Pearl Harbor, has hatched a plan to knock the Marines off Guadalcanal once and for all. 11 transport ships will make their way down the channel between the Solomon Islands, known as the Slot. They will deliver nearly 13,000 Japanese soldiers to Guadalcanal. Covering them will be 5 battleships, 10 cruisers, and 11 destroyer escorts. The ships are armed with anti-personnel fragmentation shells designed to do maximum damage to human flesh. In addition to attacking the American fleet, these ships will bombard the airfield and other American positions on Guadalcanal.
The Japanese had decided that they were going to make one big push to push our 1st Marine Division, annihilate them, destroy them, push them off the canal and retake Guadalcanal.
The stakes are very high at this point. This is the culmination of the battle.
As an enemy fleet prepares to hit Guadalcanal, the climax of 3 months of brutal fighting is about to be reached. But Enterprise is sitting on the sidelines, her men working round the clock to get her back into the fight. Flash forward 5 days later, Friday the 13th. The Japanese force has reached Guadalcanal, and cruiser Atlanta is about to be in the battle of her life. The first of the enemy gunships move into position to bombard Henderson Field from Guadalcanal's Sea Lark Channel. But these bloody waters will soon go by another name, Iron Bottom Sound. The final grave for dozens of warships and thousands of men. In the pre-dawn darkness, the enemy ships run right into the guns of USS Atlanta and the American surface fleet patrolling the waters off Guadalcanal. Like battling pirate ships, the two sides pound each other from close range, and the cruiser Atlanta is caught in the firestorm. Steel lightning explodes as shells and giant orange tracers fire into the night. Japanese and American gunships crucify each other with savage volleys of shot and shell in Guadalcanal's Iron Bottom Sound. Hit by the direct fire from more than 6 American ships, the destroyer Akatsuki blows up,